Hello YouTube, Salivate Metal here. When Ceasar Rodney made his famous journey to vote for the Declaration of Independence, he did so not on streets paved with gold, but rather on lackluster trails weaving through trees overnight in a thunderstorm. A 70-mile journey from Dover, Delaware, to Philadelphia was treacherous from a fellow who was suffering from asthma and cancer. It's quite a sacrifice for him to make that journey and that ride to enable to vote. And that was done when he walked in as apparently the last person to vote with spurs still on, fresh from his journey. He didn't even change. He walked right in and cast his vote as part of the Delaware delegation to make it unanimous. And that journey and that sacrifice is remembered today in American history. And July 2nd is truly the Independence Day. July 4th is essentially the postmark, although the document was not signed by Rodney until August, and other members of the delegation of 56 signers signed it various times after July 1776. But nonetheless, that sacrifice was for our freedom and our liberty. And liberty is essentially government-recognized freedom of the people. And that's what this nation is founded upon. And I think that most nations around the world today recognize and appreciate that liberty and freedom, including the nation from which we broke away, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, who are great allies of us today. So, very fascinating. And the United States Constitution, which was born of the Declaration, and what followed in the years after the end of the Revolutionary War, is the only longest-serving founding document or constitution that is still followed today. So it's a living document set in stone with the principles of liberty and a limited government. So as we think about this on this very day, I not only ask for Americans to pause and reflect, but also those around the world to think about that notion of limited government and freedom and individual responsibility and opportunity for your citizens in each nation from which you live. And I know there's liberty-minded people all across the world from all walks of life. And that brings me to a final little story I'd like to share with you about the early 20th century. There was a man who was asked about his grandfather, who once told him as a 5-year-old boy about the streets that had been paved with gold. And his grandfather came in from Europe in the early 1900s, and he told his 5-year-old grandson the reason why he came is because he heard that New York had streets paved with gold. Well, the grandson laughed at him and said, well, that's kind of silly. There were never any streets paved with gold. And the grandfather looked back at him in a serious tone of his voice, and he said, yes, they were and there are, because the opportunity lies there for each one of us to get gold and to earn a living to secure it. And it's on those streets from which we can procure the gold. So indeed they are paved with gold. The ironic thing is that there's a gentleman who in around 2011 or 2012 was interviewed by various news organizations, and he literally was picking through the streets and earning about between $500 and $800 a day actually mining for gold and other gems and jewels. So the irony of that is that literally the grandfather's story was true, but also the opportunity to succeed was there because of limited government and individual responsibility and liberty. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy Independence Day.